This man was stabbing holes in the desert with a dagger. Suddenly, the desert began to collapse. He called the soldiers over. The soldiers were very excited. They dug away the sand and removed the wooden boards, discovering a well underneath. The captain threw a stone down the well, but he didn't hear any splash, so he sent one soldier to check the bottom of the well. However, there was no water there. He felt along the well wall and finally found the water dripping down. His teammate threw down an iron cover, and he picked it up and poured the water he had into it. His teammate threw down a larger container, and soon, 2 jars were filled with water. The teammate carefully pulled the jars up, and the soldiers who drank the water were very happy. Just at that moment, the enemy suddenly appeared. The captain quickly ordered his teammates to take cover. When the enemy discovered the footprints on the ground, it was too late. 2 enemies were shot dead. The remaining 2 enemies hid behind a rock. The captain saw this and immediately ordered his teammates to surround them. To find out the location of the enemy's army, the captain filled a cup with water, took a sip, and then poured the rest into the sand. The enemy was shocked, couldn't help but give away the information. It turned out that they were a scouting team, and the army was not far behind. After obtaining the enemy's information, the captain came up with a plan. He deceived the enemy that the well here had an abundant water source. He let them go back. Then, they began to set up traps and installed anti-tank mines. On the other side, the enemy army, hearing that there was water ahead, rushed forward immediately. Taking cover behind the wall, they started shooting when the enemy touched the landmine. The enemy army was thrown into chaos instantly. Some enemies who tried to find cover behind the wall were also blown up by the landmines buried by the captain. The enemy army began to retreat, and then the enemy officer came over to negotiate. The captain walked over, and his teammates behind him were pretending to take a bath with water. The officer showed a look of longing and ordered the captain to retreat, but was refused by the captain. Then, the enemy set up mortars and began to bombard the soldiers. Soon, the enemy collapsed due to dehydration. At this time, the enemy officer came over to negotiate again. A soldier walked over and, taking advantage of the officer's inattention, pulled out a dagger and killed him. So the enemy continued to bombard, while the captain prepared to fight with the surviving soldiers. At this moment, the enemy charged forward all at once. The captain immediately stood on the tank. However, the enemy had come to surrender. They rushed towards the dry well. So the 2 men took the opportunity to collect all the enemy's weapons. In this way, they captured all the enemy forces and successfully held the defensive line.